ấy. Cũng muốn làm rõ hơn bởi vì là nghe có vẻ một số thứ rất là tương tự. Ví dụ như là tương tự như là present
Speak or hear, right?
Thế thì là cũng nói là thực hành trong là không tự nhiên, không có phụ thuộc vào nơi chốn, thời gian, không phải ngồi, vân. Nhưng mà vẫn có cái em có thể đọc một chút không?
Maybe just wait for the transition. Roti has accepted, by the way. Roti has accepted.
I saw.
Roti.
What they're looking at and discussing is, just wait.
Check is not. Em đọc mấy cái đấy được. Đọc không đọc cái to to ấy.
Good afternoon, Ajarn and everybody. I'd like to understand more about the Satipatthana, or the meaning of the Satipatthana and the development of Satipatthana.
What for?
Understand clearly about the Satipatthana.
But without the understanding of reality right now, can there be condition for Satipatthana to arise?
I think cannot.
So we have to have more and more understanding, and then we can see the difference between the direct understanding of whatever appears now and that which is not direct understanding yet. Because we're now seeing, we can talk about seeing, but what about the understanding of seeing? The understanding of seeing, right now it sees. See, that is not Satipatthana until there are enough conditions to condition that direct understanding. For now, seeing arises and falls away, and how can there be direct understanding? This is about Satipatthana.
So can I understand that direct understanding is Satipatthana moment?
Because you see that we are talking about seeing, and there is seeing. What about the understanding of seeing? Is it enough? Or just heard about it as a reality, not self? So direct understanding is the moment of understanding, just the seeing, at moment of seeing. Even now, seeing is not there, but no understanding directly yet. So what condition the moment of direct understanding? We don't have to use the word awareness or Satipatthana, but what about understanding? Because without understanding, it's impossible to understand seeing better as it is, as not self. No matter how many moments are there, seeing, and now it's seeing, it arises and falls away. That's what one heard about it. But as long as it's not appear as that, there still is doubt about it. How can it be? The moment of just arise, see, and then gone completely. Never to return at all. In samsara, not just today, but in samsara. So life exists only in a moment, unknown, until there's more understanding from listening to the words, the truth of reality right now, from the Buddha. And that can be known, but not just from the hearing and intellectual understanding only. And how long it will take, it depends on understanding, not time, how long. But it's this moment, how much that is the understanding of seeing, different from that which appears. So many things today pass without understanding. From moment to moment, who knows? That's why Satipatthana is anatta. All dhammas are anatta. Very, very natural. Whatever appears by conditions, not at anyone's will at all. When it's not the understanding of whatever appears, it's not Satipatthana. If one just wants to know more about Satipatthana, by conditions, we cannot change the word just like this. No matter whatever there is thinking about it, it is now. Is there any understanding just of that which appears one at a time by conditions? When it's not Satipatthana, it's not Satipatthana yet.
Are you thinking about the three different meanings of Satipatthana? I think so. So this is the main meaning, and when we talk about Satipatthana, we're talking about the direct understanding and awareness of realities, as Ajarn has explained. And as she says, if there's no beginning of understanding about what is seen now as just being that which is visible, if there's no considering of realities, there cannot be the direct understanding. So this is the first and main meaning of Satipatthana. And the second meaning refers to the object of understanding and awareness. So the objects which can be directly known. This is another meaning of Satipatthana. And the third meaning refers, that we sometimes read about in the text, refers to the path followed by the Aryan disciples, by those who have fully developed Satipatthana. So the path followed by them is another meaning of Satipatthana. But in these discussions, when we're talking about Satipatthana, we're talking about the first meaning, the direct awareness and understanding of the realities that we've heard about before in detail. So this is the Patipatti understanding, which depends on the Pariyatti understanding.
You just mentioned about the path. Is the same to the path to enlightenment?
It is. It's the way that has been followed by those Aryan disciples, those that have followed the teachings. I don't know if Ajarn has any more to say.
Is it the same path or different path?
I think the same path.
Only one.
Only path.
One
Only
path.
one path.
And it is also said that if people listen, the Buddha finds it good, but also when they don't want to, he has equanimity. It's added to the third meaning. No matter how people react or want to listen or do not want to listen.
Listen to
him, to his teaching.
To the path.
Of Satipatthana.
Yeah, this is the only way, the only path. That there can be the enlightenment, the truth of whatever appears now. So it's not just thinking about Satipatthana, but what about one's own understanding? A little more about whatever appears. Unknown even is there. How much? Just like yesterday, the same as yesterday. Is there a little more? Who knows? But when Satipatthana arises, one knows. How come? It seems like Satipatthana is the goal, but what about the understanding? One just think about Satipatthana, but what about the understanding now? And it's better to leave it, not to cling to it. But it's not the letting go of the idea of self yet, but just know that that is not the way. Just to think about it. It means there's some clinging.
Oh, thanks.
Obviously, the meaning that most people are familiar with is their first meaning, but there needs to be a good understanding of the object of Satipatthana, what can be the object, before the development of Satipatthana can begin.
And this actually leads to, I think, the points that some of the Vietnamese are going to raise about what some other teachers say and about directly understanding but without knowing anything about the objects of understanding.
Yes, because some other, I think many of my friends who follow Theravada teachers in Vietnam, and he's quite a famous one, seems like what he teach is somehow he speak about realities and about now, here and now. He said that he is also the one who against meditation because he said reality is already here and now. But according to him, the nature of the mind is clear. So when the mind is clear, it means is that wisdom itself. And wisdom is meant whenever there is no concept or attachment. And in order to develop wisdom, he mentioned about the three important qualities. The first one is carefulness, which he refers to sila. You're careful in everything you do. And the second one is attentive, which he means refer to samadhi. And the third quality is about observing mind. That he means panya. To observe mind is to watch the mind without the idea of self.
So some of these Vietnamese friends who follow these ideas, they think it's all the same. So I think the point or the question they would like to ask is for your comments about it.
So, what is clear? See, each word should be studied. What is clear? They say, the citta is clear?
He said the nature of the mind is clear.
What does it mean?
It means when there is no attachment or concept.
Just the mind itself, if you don't talk about cetasika, is it pandra or clear?
Yeah,
See?
maybe, yes.
So we have to understand a lot more to begin to detach from the clinging and the idea of self, to learn more that that cannot be taken for self, no matter what Buddha said. Even clearness of what is clear. In what meaning, what extent? And when citta is pavanga, and when citta is the moment of experiences object through the process, to the procession, processes, see, mind or sense, is it clear? From what, see? And it's now. When they say that understand now, what is now, this is more important. Not just know nothing about now and just to be now, to understand now, but what is now.
when I had a look at the link, like for example, you mentioned the carefulness and attentiveness, and they say, well, this is sila, but then they talk about being careful not to drop the pen, or being careful to do everything very nicely and neatly. But these are just conventional ideas of being careful, nothing to do with yoniso manasikara or sati at all, because no matter one's dropping the pen or not dropping the pen, there are dhammas. So it's nothing to do with, well, sila is the nature of mind, and it can be, there's kusala sila, akusala sila, or avyakata sila. So at those moments there can be kusala sila or akusala sila. But if one thinks that being careful in a wholesome sense means not dropping the pen at that moment of thinking like that, it's akusala sila, nothing to do with what the Buddha taught. And so that's why, as Jan says, one has to check and consider each word, like they talked about observing the mind, observing our attitude, and who or what is it that does all this observing?
Even though we say observe, even though he also said observing mind without the idea of self, but still observing.
So he gives different definitions to the meaning of things like panya as the observing mind. Well, most people's idea of the observing mind would be the observing of what is going on at the present moment. So the idea of paying attention to, rather than panya as a mental factor that arises and understands the characteristic of a reality. And also, I'd also had a look at the website. I didn't see any reference to the understanding of conditioned dhammas as they are. I saw a lot of reference to somehow being in a mental state that he seems to describe as being without concepts, for example, as though when there is understanding, there are no more conditions for concepts to arise in the mind. But this is not the case at all, because the mind is by nature going from one doorway to another and thinking about what is being experienced through different doorways. And there's nothing, and when there's enlightenment or understanding as we know it, there is just a better understanding of the reality of the present moment. It doesn't mean there's no thinking in concepts.
And we've been talking a lot about effort, right effort, virya cetasika, and when it arises, and we know from our discussions that virya arises almost all the time, kusala, akusala citas, even vipaka citas, kiriya citas. And he talks about using right effort. But what's the point of talking about anatta if one then talks about using right effort? Because at those moments of thinking of using right effort, it's bound to be akusala effort. Effort is virya conditioned, it arises with every citta apart from the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and mostly ahetuka citas, but at every other moment effort is there. But any idea of using it means there is an idea of self, no matter what we say. So, and then when he talks about, or they talk about practicing vipassana and seeing realities, again, it's not the understanding of the reality that appears now, which Ajarn was talking about in the development of Satipatthana, because that idea of I is there that can practice.
I think for a lot of people, wisdom is kind of a mental state that a person goes into by dint of some kind of preparation or practice that then gives rise to a mind state that is quite different from the mind state of the ordinary person. But from our studies we know that the development of the path involves moments of awareness and understanding and moments without awareness and understanding, and that when awareness and understanding is being developed, it begins as very weak or even imperceptible, but it's conditioned by hearing the Dhamma explained, having the Dhamma explained in a way that's meaningful for us, having the reality of the present moment explained in a way that's meaningful for us, and the reflection on what has been heard over time can condition moments of awareness and understanding, weak or stronger as they develop, but it's not a case of suddenly some brilliant mind state that's totally different from our normal mind state. So there's a gradual development.
Why would they like to think that it's the same as what we discuss here or what the Buddha teaches?
I think because they just know about the words. First of all, he talks about natural development, and second thing is he also uses the word present reality, but actually there's no reference to any conditioned realities at all. And actually I happened to attend to one of his talks about Abhidhamma, and what he said was totally different from what we know about the teaching. For example, he talks about the 6 different chittas that arise at the eye base, ear base, etc. And he said these chittas arise and pass away, but there's one chitta, one knowing chitta, that doesn't arise and pass away at all. So there's no basis for that in the Theravada teachings, as we know. Yeah.
From what I've been listening these days from the Vietnamese people, it's like it's like there's an idea in the Mahayana, or at least in some Mahayana schools. I don't know if the whole Mahayana or just some schools, in which they interpret the term clear, like that the chitta, that the nature of chitta is clear. They think that clear means wisdom, right? That if the mind is devoid of everything, then there is like a natural pure mind which is wise, which knows, and which is enlightened or something like that, right?
I think the common idea is that there is a luminous mind which is covered up by so many kinds of defilements, and if the defilements are removed, then that pure luminous mind will be found, and that doesn't arise and fall away because it's like an inner core. But this is not the Buddha's teachings at all. Is that correct?
And I think maybe when it said that the chitta is clear, maybe what I think it might mean is that chitta needs to be clear in order to know, because if it had something in it, it would not be able to receive, right? Well, that's just somehow.
So they take a word like pandra, which means clear, and use it in a different way, because it's true, like Ajarn said at the beginning, what is clear, what is pandra, and it's true that chitta is pandra, each chitta is clear or pandra, but it arises and falls away, and when it arises with akusala chittas, it's tainted, but it's not anything lasting. Any chitta at all by nature is Pandra, because it's the akusala cetasikas that defile it.
Not the kusala ones, not panya.
Well, the kusala ones don't defile it, but regardless of whether it's the akusala citta or the kusala citta or bhavanga citta, each citta by nature is pandra, but it arises with different cetasikas and arises and falls away with them. So they take that word but misunderstand it to mean something lasting or some core to be found.
Which means that the cetasikas are not pandara, right? So every time that citta arises, it arises with cetasika. So that means that those moments of consciousness are not pandara.
Whatever citta it is, whatever moment of consciousness, it is pandra.
But
The citta is.
But Ajarn wants to say something.
To be able to understand citta now, it's not any cetasikas, and any cetasika cannot be citta at all. This is the point of why do we use the word pandra just for citta alone or only. Because it has that characteristic that whenever it arises, it experiences an object. We can use the word clearly because cetasika has its own characteristic and its own function. But citta doesn't have function like any cetasika at all. It just is a chief of experiencing the object. That's why what it means clear is that the citta experience just arise to experience citta. That's why the citta appear as different things.
As different things?
Yes, this is not this. What knows? Because if citta does not experience just clearly on this, on that, there cannot be the understanding of the difference at all.
Ajarn said the citta arises to experience the citta. But you mean
To experience anything
Different things.
Right.
different from cetasika. It experiences but not as citta. And when this come to seeing right now, and when they say citta is clear, what is clear? Is seeing consciousness clear? See? If they don't understand the difference between citta and cetasika, they will not say that citta itself is clear. So if one asks, now hearing, is it clear? There is citta, but they don't understand the exact characteristic of citta. So there's no answer from them. Whether hearing is clear, seeing is clear now.
Probably they don't understand that in order for there to be panya, there needs to be an extra cetasika together with the citta.
What is the extra?
I mean panya, cetasika. Because they say that the clear, well, not important, Ajarn, I'm sorry.
They don't. What the point is that any citta at all, no matter which cetasika, it doesn't matter. Each one is pandra. Each one is clear because that's the nature of citta. To experience clearly, to be clear. No matter it's arising with akusala cetasikas or kusala cetasikas, or moments of seeing or hearing.
The thing is that it always has to arise with something.
Yes.
So you can never really have that pure citta there by itself.
But it can be the object of. It can be the. It has its characteristics, so it can be the object of understanding.
Citta by itself?
Citta can be the object of experience, the object of understanding.
You mean the just citta without the cetasikas?
Just seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, citta with lobha, just the nature of citta itself. Like if citta is the object of satipatthana, it's just the citta which is experienced.
The pandara, you can see the Pandara.
Just it doesn't matter what you call it, but just that reality, that seeing consciousness or hearing consciousness or citta with lobha, rooted in lobha, just the citta itself.
But seeing consciousness means not only citta, it means citta plus various cetasikas.
When seeing arises now, seeing arises with 7 cetasikas. It can't arise without those cetasikas. But if we're talking about the development of understanding, we're talking about the understanding of whatever reality appears now. So if visible object appears now, that is the object of understanding. If seeing consciousness appears now, seeing consciousness is the object of understanding, not cetasikas.
So
Just one reality at a time.
although they always arise together, they are different realities, is the point. So I guess just as a cetasika can be known as a cetasika, lobha, the characteristic of that particular mental factor can be known for what it is. I suppose in the same way, then the nature of citta can also be known because they're different realities.
And if we don't talk about this point, how can there be the understanding of Citta-nupassana Satipatthana? See? It's not only word, but we have to understand clearly about the characteristic of citta itself as different from cetasikas.
At the moment of citta arise to experience the object, Cettasika together experience the same object as citta, right? Okay.
So every moment in life, one citta arises accompanied by 7 or more cetasikas. And at that moment, the citta and the cetasikas all experience exactly the same object. So at the moment of seeing and the sanya and the vedana, phassa and so on, they arise together. They all experience the visible object. But any reality can be the object of understanding. When understanding arises, it arises with a citta and many other beautiful cetasikas, and they all experience the same object which appears, no matter hardness or citta or cetasika, any nama, any rupa that appears. So if it's citta that appears, then it's just that citta which is the object of understanding at that moment. If it's a cetasika such as lobha which appears, it's just that cetasika lobha that appears. Just one reality.
It seems very hard to imagine.
Yeah, because you see that we learned about the Citta-nupassana Satipatthana. It's seeing cetasika, the object of Citta-nupassana Satipatthana. It's hearing, thinking and so on. Even the jhana citta, whatever citta can be, Citta-nupassana Satipatthana, no matter when and what. If there is not clear understanding of citta as citta, there is doubt about the moment of Citta-nupassana Satipatthana is seeing or hearing or thinking. But when there is the understanding of citta as citta, only citta, it cannot be anything. So at any moment, it's citta which experiences. So that can be the understanding of seeing, hearing, not the sound, not that which is seen, but that which experiences, not any cetasika at moment of being aware of Citta-nupassana Satipatthana. It has to be only citta, which is the object.
And Ajarn, we know that jittas are of different jatis, so there are kusala jittas, akusala jittas, vipaka jittas, and kiriya jittas. So presumably one thing that panya can know is, say, how vipaka jitta is different from other kind of jitta. Would that be correct?
Touching. What chati is that? That is thinking about what chati, whether it is vipaka or kriya or kusala or akusala, but that which experiences not self. This is the point. Not to name or call it and try to think or understand what which is not object of understanding.
But I was referring, of course, to developed panya.
Yes.
Because we're talking about panya understanding citta as citta.
And when we say that it's vipaka citta or kusala citta or akusala citta, it does mean that we think about it. But by having understanding of different cittas, right understanding knows that they are different. And we don't have to call it this is akusala lopa or that is seeing or touching. See, but the moment of touching, it cannot be lopa. It cannot be other thing, but at moment of seeing, and there is the understanding of that which experiences, and at moment of hearing, that which experiences, and at moment of thinking, that which experiences. We know this, and they are different, and when we learn, we call it different word, with different word, like this is vipaka, seeing, and the thinking is kusala or akusala, depending on what arises with it. But a moment is known, not all of them, suddenly. So it can be known citta as cittanupassana satipatthana, and for lopa and other reality is dhammanupassana satipatthana, no matter we classify them or not. But the moment of understanding is the moment of understanding that characteristic which experiences. See, so it has to be the understanding of that which experiences, or the chief or the leading of experiences, no matter we call it cittanupassana satipatthana or not, or whether it is kusala citta, dosamula citta can be object of panya, not by calling, but the characteristic which appears as it is. The more there is understanding sees or understand the difference, so they know from differences that this is not the same. Seeing is not lopa, it's not dosa, and what you call it, dosa mula citta, or akusala citta, or lopa mula citta. See, but the characteristic appears as it is, as citta or cetasika. That's why all dhammas can be object of understanding, not by choice, but by conditions. No expectation what would arise next, whether it is or it can be object of satipatthana or not, no one knows at all. And this is the only way to have less attachment to the idea of self, controlling or trying or make it arise, because they are all anatta. The point is to understand better and better of the anattaness, not self, not I am now experiencing cittanupassana satipatthana or that. That's the difference between what they say now, see, but no understanding. What they say clear, they don't have any understanding.
Ajarn, this thing about knowing citta.
If you don't call it, what is known?
Like seeing, we can just talk about knowing seeing.
But I just cannot imagine, I cannot see how you can have citta without pasa, for example, or without manasikara.
Every cetasika arising with citta, like pasa, vedana, and so on, does it appear now?
Yes.
Really?
Well, no, it does not appear. It arises now.
Can they be aware of its characteristic when it does not appear?
When it does not appear?
For example, now citta appears but not passa. So what can be the object of awareness or direct understanding of only that which appears? If lopa appears, would you try to understand the citta? See, but when seeing arises, you don't have to say anything, whether it is vipaka citta or what. But that which experiences is there now.
Ajahn, but can seeing arise without phassa?
This is not the matter.
Not about seeing always arises with phassa and so on. We're talking about when it's the object of awareness and understanding. So it always arises with those cetasikas, no question, no doubt. But how is it known? It's only known by being the object of awareness and understanding. And when it's the object, when there's understanding of seeing, it's just that reality right now which sees. No thought or idea about phassa or sanya or vedana. Just the reality which sees at this moment, not anyone there. Just that moment of experiencing, that's it.
Anyone there, that's no problem. I can understand that.
So it's just
but no phassa there.
You could equally ask, can Vedana arise without Chitta? It can't, but there can still be awareness of Vedana as Vedana, or Lopa as Lopa. So it's a question of what aspect Sati is aware of, whether it's the Citta, yes, whether it's the Citta or the Jetasikas, because, as we've said, they are quite different realities, even though they are so dependent on each other.
There can only be awareness of one reality at a time.
Right, like when you touch it, harness, but you don't feel the, only can be one reality appear, the earth element characteristic, right? You don't feel the warm or cold at the same time, but they arrive together.
The object is really Citta Nupassana Satipatthana, and how it can help us to have less attachment to self. That is the object, and how it helps us.
Is there phassa now?
Yes, there is a chance, but it's not appearing.
Can there be awareness of it?
There can be awareness with the right conditions.
It does not appear.
Oh, if it does not appear, no, there can be no awareness.
Even
yeah.
it's there, Vedana, Sanya, and so on. But whatever appears, only when it appears can be object of awareness. But when it does not appear, there cannot be the awareness or direct awareness.
So there can be seeing, but the seeing is not known, only the phassa, for example.
At the moment of seeing, what are there?
At the moment of seeing,
what are there?
7 cetasikas plus.
And what else?
The citta and there's the object, the visible object.
At moment of being aware of citta, can there be understanding of that which is the object of citta?
The visible object?
Can it be object of awareness at moment of being aware and begin to understand?
Of being aware of the citta, you
Of
mean?
seeing.
No, Ajahn.
See, it doesn't appear even it's there.
Right.
So now there is seeing and there is that which is seen. It depends on what awareness arises. No one can control. Would you like to understand seeing or the visible object?
Ajahn, but there has the visible object has to be known first, right?
Why first?
And then the conscious.
Before seeing or what? When you say first.
Why are you making an order?
An order? Well,
Why are you setting rules and making an order?
well, there's natural order, right? Niyama.
Any natural order that it must be visible object before seeing?
Well, because no. Well, visible object has to make contact. There has to be the contact.
That is thinking. It's not the visible object, it's thinking.
Right. Well, let's see what.
No, it's a question to you. I'm wondering if you're coming from the idea that because citta must arise with minimum 7 cetasikas, you can't know any one of them clearly just because they arise together with many Cetasikas.
Any of them clearly? What?
Yeah. I mean, some people probably think that because Phassa arises, Vedana arises, when Panya arises to know, so-called Panya arises to know one reality, it is not possible since it's actually arising so many together, one influencing the other.
Yeah, I think in the back of my mind there's like
that's what you're thinking,
like
right?
an idea like you cannot see consciousness because
it's arising with
Phassa
and
Vedana. Especially with consciousness, I have the problem. I don't know why. I mean, I'm just
exactly
seeing.
the same idea, like Vincent mentioned, that there can't be awareness of hardness because it arises with 7 other rupas in the kalapa, but it's just a misunderstanding of of what it means to be aware of reality.
I had never thought about the chitta itself without what comes together with it. I just cannot imagine a chitta without Phassa.
And that is not direct awareness or direct understanding of whatever appears now.
But wouldn't it be kind of a contradiction that you accept that chitta arises with Cetasika and yet you do not think that each one can be known one at a time? Because how did you come to the knowledge that chitta arises with Cetasika? From Panya arising, knowing one reality at a time.
You mean me or
anyone? I mean, you're accepting that chitta arises with Cetasika, that you accept.
Well, it's because there are many chittas or Cetasikas that cannot be known by an ordinary person, right? So that's why somehow also.
So you do accept that maybe the Buddha understand one reality at a time, at least?
The Buddha, yes.
Yes, so it's possible for everyone, gradually, slowly, little by little.
I'm not sure about that. I don't think...
It is the function of Panya to know realities as they are. That's the very characteristic of Panya itself.
To distinguish one from the other.
Now, what appears?
I don't know, Ajarn, I have to...
Yes. Whenever there is chitta, when it's not pavanka, something is experienced. So what appears now?
Well, it's so hard to know because there's so many objects. I have
Just
to choose one with my thinking.
No, just one at a time because they're all gone. And now we are talking about whatever arises and appear again and again, so that we can say that it's now and it's there by conditions, little by little. And this is the pariyatti, not enough to condition satipatthana when it's not clear and very skillful to know this moment is not self. This is the beginning for awareness or satipatthana can arise but not at will. Whenever it arises, all an anatta, no expectation. From what? Understanding better and better as not self. If nothing appears, it's impossible to be aware because it does not appear. But as long as it appears now, and right understanding is not enough, so we think about satipatthana, how to have satipatthana. Forget that. What about the understanding of whatever appears now, even intellectually? No one in this room, anywhere. Just one reality can appear, and what can be seen is only light. How quick, how rapid, arising and falling away. And can it be known through this way and the other doorway as different things? The experiencing, the seeing, and that which is seen. See? Consider that each word of the teachings carefully to understand that whatever appears now has a reason from the conditions unexpectedly and false way. How many, we cannot say, absolute realities from morning up to now, uncountable, unknown, forget already about them. And even right now, when it appears, forgetfulness at moment of not hearing the teachings about what appears now to be known as not self. It has to be no one, no self.
Is there seeing now?
Yes.
What is it?
What is it? Visible object, or
No,
what do you
is
mean?
there seeing now?
Yes, there is seeing now.
What is seeing? What is that seeing? The seeing consciousness, what is it?
What is it?
What is it?
Oh, it's a chitta, consciousness. Consciousness whose object is visible object.
And at the moment of seeing, what is its function?
To see.
Right. It sees the visible object. So it's now. So there are many, many moments of seeing now. Chitta which sees, which experiences the object, no matter what it's called. So this is the beginning of understanding seeing. No need to think about phassa or anything else. We're just talking about the characteristic of seeing itself, which has that function of seeing, of experiencing what is visible or what is light at this moment. This is the way to begin to understand what seeing is. Just that chitta which arises, experiences what is visible, falls away instantly, different from any of the cetasikas.
Right.
And it's the function of panya to experience the characteristic of the Dhamma that it takes as object. So we're talking about the characteristic of citta or characteristic of cetasika. Either one or the other. But panya, it can distinguish different Dhammas by their characteristics. So for us, it's a composite idea of, citta and cetasikas. For panya, it's not like that.
You know what I'm thinking? Somehow that I have the idea that, I had the idea because I had not thought deeply about it, but also because hearing that citta is pandara is clear. Somehow I had the idea that citta itself had no characteristic. The citta would need the cetasikas to give it form. No.
Whatever we read or hear can be misunderstood, but just considering now, forget about the word pandra, just considering the nature of seeing, it's different from hearing. So because it experiences what is visible. So it's a different citta with a different characteristic at this moment of seeing. It's different from the moment of hearing.
But isn't in this case, seeing and hearing, isn't the visible object or the sound what makes the citta to be different?
Yes. So
it's the object, so it's outside. No, Ajarn? Ajarn says
the
no.
object.
He's getting more and more confused.
The citta different. Sorry? The object cannot make the citta different, can it?
But because citta is always pandara, so it
without the visible object, there couldn't be seeing. Without that visible object that's impinged on the eye sense, there couldn't be seeing. But the seeing, like what kind of seeing now, what will it see? It depends also on karma and many conditions. Because it's vipaka citta, the result of karma.
Well, of course, Panya can know seeing consciousness as different from hearing consciousness because they perform a different function.
And I think perhaps you need to first be clear about what Pandara means. Because when it's said that Chitta is Pandara, it's saying that it just experiences the object clearly. It does not, unlike the other Chetasikas such as Vedana, feel the object, or taste the object, or touch the object, it does not perform these functions. So it just experiences the object clearly and is the chief. It is the other Chetasikas that do all that.
But it's hard to understand how can it experience the object clearly if it needs the Chetasikas in order to experience the object.
It needs to, because it cannot contact the object, it cannot feel the object, it cannot concentrate on the object, it cannot attend to the object. Yet all these functions have to be there for any experience. So the Chitta itself does not perform all these functions. It just experiences clearly visible object as visible object, whereas the Chetasikas contacts the object, it does not feel, it does not attend, it does not concentrate, and it does not experience clearly, it just contacts. So contact, feel is the function of Chetasikas, whereas experiencing clearly is the function of Chitta. That's the meaning of Pandara.
Yes, okay.
If you don't use any word or any term, just think about what is real now. Is there anything real at this moment?
Yes.
Don't call it anything.
Right.
What are there?
Actually, real means that it exists without names, right?
Okay. So what are there now?
There are various types of consciousness.
You use the word consciousness.
Right.
But what is it now if you don't use the word consciousness?
Well, I will have to look for another word.
No matter what word at all.
Right.